Here's the next build that just rolled in. I believe these are Athenas on the stock stroke stock rod, but they're 68 millimeters. You can see he's got some nice small bore in-frame shears. This will complement the 4mm long rod we'll put in here. Dual 39 carbs. We'll do PWKs. And we will put it on race gas. It's probably on race gas right now, but he wanted it on race gas. We're doing a drag play. It's going to be a pretty stout build, and it'll put out some good numbers. I would say probably about 85, 90 horsepower. So we'll get started tearing this guy down. I have a Banshee Athena on the bench today. The Athena is an aftermarket cylinder. You can find them anywhere. They are stock replacements. They come in 64, 65, 66, and 68 millimeter bore. This is a 68 millimeter bore. We're going to stick a 4mm long rod crank in it and make it a 421. We're going to make a 421 dune drag racer. It's going to be on race gas. It's going to have lots of goodies in it. We're going to pump it up so it makes some good power. It's going to be running on sheer small bore in-frame pipes and dual 39 millimeter PWK carbs. It'll get after it good. First thing I'm going to do is check the stator. I checked the compression on it already. It was 195 in this cylinder and 155 in this cylinder, so he might have some issues going in. He might have burned up a little bit. When you have a discrepancy of compression between the two cylinders, might have got hot. One of the rings might be sticking, but we'll open her up and see what she's got. On the stator, I already started it. It ran, but we always want to check the stator resistance when we break these motors down, or anytime I have a stator in the house. I always pull the resistance. And the resistance set at 200 ohms is 17, which is excellent. That is the coil. The pickup is 119.5, which is good. Stator is in excellent health. It is an OEM stator, the only thing I recommend to run. Let's get this flywheel pulled. That seemed relatively easy because I had it apart already. I was checking some stuff under here a while back. This side is bare. It's all you need to do to be able to split the case. The stator is the only thing that holds it from splitting apart on this side. Woo! Those are some small domes. 19cc. And he was making some good compression. And you can see what happened. Didn't have any timing advance because he doesn't have a timing plate. Nope, no detonation. You will usually see pitting or flattening out right here, right above the spark plug. It'll start acting like a glow plug and start pitting and digging a hole right here. If you've ever pulled one of these apart and seen a hole along here anywhere, usually starts right here and elongates towards the exhaust because that's where the heat is. This is not a monoblock. Those are two separate cylinders. It just came off together because I didn't pull the intake off, which is a one-piece billet with an internal crossover. Oh, the wrist pin went south. The wrist pin spit out all its bearings. The first thing I always look for are the circlips. Those seem to spit out a lot. A lot of guys don't get them seated in correctly. There's the wrist pin bearings. The wrist pin came apart. To unseat them. Looks a little bit milkshaky. He might have had a leak. Washer back off. If you don't have one of these, red Loctite works in a pinch. This locks the nut. Pull this off all in one piece. I'll piece it together step by step when I do the assembly on it. Take off the primary gear and water pump gear. This gear spins the water pump gear. This one is the primary gear that takes all the power from the crank and puts it on the back of that basket. The big ring gear right there on the back of the basket. So the only thing left holding the case from splitting here are these two screws. Don't break this plate. Everybody forgets these two screws, bang on it, and the plate splits. This isn't very strong. There we go. That is an OEM crank. It has been trued and welded. There's a few of our wrist pin buddies. We're going to cut a Pro Mod on this transmission. Pro Mod cuts are pretty simple, but they allow the motor to shift under load, especially when you're making a lot of horsepower. This stock stroke 68 mil with the port job needed a cut because he was on race gas, and he said he was having a tough time shifting quickly, and we'll take care of that. Pro Mod transmission allows you to shift it just like stock, backload it, do everything just like normal. It just helps shift under load when you're making a lot of power. He wasn't on it too hard because when it doesn't shift, people usually keep banging the shifter, and it puts a lot of side load on these forks, and they don't look too bad at all. So we won't have to change those out. All right, I got these cylinders taken apart, and boy, what a sad outcome. I mean, I don't know if that shows, but you can just see where it eats up the top of the exhaust port. Just a couple of those bearings, those needle bearings, bounced out the exhaust port and screwed up the Nickel there. Other than that, it's perfect. Nothing else came up or down and scratched anything. Just that one spot. Bummer. We're gonna have to nickel this. That's a little costly, but it's got to be done. Okay, the top of this case has not been ported. We are going to port match the top of the case with the bottom of the cylinders before we assemble. That is the only case work that needs to be done putting in this 4mm long rod. And this is not a must. You don't have to do this to run ported cylinders or any type of stroke or crank. If you're just looking for every little bit of the power, gasket matching is one of the old hot rod tricks that works in every motor. So I'm just going to draw around the ears here of the transfers. This will let more fuel and air through the transfer updrafts instead of pinching them off. Now I will take the porting tool and I will port to the lines I just drew. And this gasket will be used for assembly. Everything will match up nicely. This should do it. Now I'm going to take this whole thing and wash it. I'll wash the upper and the lower, and then I will cut the transmission and then get everything in the lower case, crank, transmission, seals, and then seal it up. Let's keep it moving.